Hello, and welcome to our presentation to Acme Aroma Manufacturing. This is the analysis report for our HR group. I'm Dr. Celia Banks, the lead analyst who conducted the study. The key takeaways from the study were the problem: witnessing substantial increase in employee turnover that has led to a notable increase in the acquisition cost per employee. The company aims to identify the factors contributing to employee attrition and to enhance predictive insights for future workforce planning. This project's goal was to build a model that predicts turnover by analyzing whether employees stay or leave. There were several predictors gathered from historical employee data included. These were age, monthly income, distance from home, total working years, years at company, years since last promotion, performance rating, job satisfaction, and work-life balance. We used logistic regression to build a predictive model for attrition. To achieve this, the goal was to determine key predictors that contribute to employee turnover, then build a predictive model for attrition and assess accuracy and reliability. Our model performed well, having an accuracy rating of 93% in its strong ability to predict attrition. With an area under the curve of 0.9675, this further confirms the model's prediction effectiveness in distinguishing between employees that are likely to stay or those likely to leave. The several employee data predictors were considered, and the model strengthened distance from home of an odds ratio of 1.59 showed it to be the highest contributor to turnover of all other predictors. Our recommendations were to address the distance from home as a predictor of employee turnover. And these recommendations include implementing remote work options, offering flexible work hours, providing relocation assistance, establishing workplace amenities, integrating solutions for virtual collaboration, implementing flexible scheduling policies, considering retention bonuses or incentives, and there is an additional recommendation to consider job satisfaction measures in order to realize cost savings that were identified in the conjoint study. The limitations of this study was the concern about the model's tendency to overfit and not be generalizable. These were addressed by expressing a validation curve to evaluate its performance. This slide represents our model results. We used the HR dataset provided, and we split it into three subsets essentially: train, test, and validate. Splitting it across these subsets allowed us to be able to utilize the data not only to create a predictive model, but also to be able to generalize it going forward to predict future workforce planning needs. The predictors used were mentioned earlier. They range from age through work-life balance. The number two there, that's our odds ratio. And for each of the predictors, we regressed it against the response variable of turnover. And what we see here is the bolded number there, the 1.59. That tells us that distance from home is the predictor that above all of the other predictors is a predicator for turnover. Fit metrics help us understand whether or not our model is suitable in order to be generalizable. And we see here precision, recall, and F1 score. The no false positive means that the likelihood of an employee leaving when they really don't want to leave, or conversely, an employee that is not leaving, not wanting to leave, but actually leaves, there's a 0.98 or 98% accuracy around identifying no false positives. So you can be assured that the model is accounting for and correctly identifying those that actually leave, the churn. Same thing with recall. It has a no false positive of 93% to accompany the precision. The F1 score of accuracy of 93% further solidifies that this is a suitable model for our needs. In sleeve 4, the cross-validation is just an extra step to ensure that our fit metrics are telling us the correct things. And so we basically did a per-fold analysis or regression, if you will, across random, subsets of the data. What we found on average was that 0.8968, or if we round it to 90%, it showed an average accuracy. So that between the cross-validation and the fit metrics, it identifies that this model is suitable for our needs. Sleeve 5, visualizations, those follow, and they're basically visualizations that enhance the information that's laid out in results. And these include a confusion matrix, a ROC curve, as well as a validation curve. The confusion matrix is a visualization of more of what we previously spoke about, the false positive versus true positives ratings. The 521 number in the upper left quadrant there, that tells us the number of employees that actually were correctly predicted to leave the company, and they actually did. The lower number there, the number 9 in the lower left quadrant underneath it, that is our false positive predictor, and it tells us that these were incorrectly predicted employees who we thought they left, but they actually stayed. So what this shows us in the large number in the 521 is that our model is working and it is correctly predicting turnover. The receiver operator characteristic, or ROC curve, is another visualization that tells us something similar as the confusion matrix. The data that's all on the blue line in the upper left quadrant of the graphic shows us the sensitivity or true positive rate, which is the proportion of employees who actually left the company and they were correctly identified as doing so by the model. The red trend line just shows us that if we look at the area under the curve, there is a very, very low false positive rate occurrence. And this is a good thing because false positive means that the model is incorrectly predicting that employees turnover who actually do not. The validation curve, that helps us to understand whether our model is overfitting and maybe not generalizable for future predictions. So what we see here is, and what we want to see is that the shape of the curve provides insights into how the model's performance will change with different values. So that as the curve rises, it indicates that the model's performance improves, and that's a good thing. So this validation curve, then it further confirms that our model is suitable for our needs. It is not overfitting, and it is generalizable for future predictions of turnover. In this final graphic slide, it's a conjoint study that I've added that basically shows a visual of what the conjoint study revealed. The cost-saving percentages against certain variables. In this particular instance, the variable is job satisfaction. If we increase it at different intervals of cost savings of 5%, 10%, 15%, and 20%, it will increase the cost savings as well. And so in addition to recommending that we take on the distance from home predictor for turnover, we also want to look at increasing job satisfaction. These coupled together will help to improve our employee retention rates.